run when you hear that. I said run when you hear that. You better run when you hear that. I said run when you hear that. You better run when you hear that. I said run when you 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 hear that. I said you better run. I said run when you hear that. Run when you hear that. You better run. I said run when you hear that. Run when you hear that. Run when you hear that. Run when you hear that.
Good evening, everybody. Bruce Foster, Chewing the Fat. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's had a great week. And yeah, so tonight we are going to have Carl and Michael on with regards to weather apps and basically riding the perfect storm. What is suitable, what's not suitable for our southeast Queensland area, mainly Moreton Bay and the Gold Coast. Obviously, there are plenty of other areas, but the general principles would be the same. But I would love to have people's input throughout this discussion about what's suitable and what's not, and it's what's permissible. What are you willing to ride in yourself, conditions-wise? There'll be some plenty of safety discussions as well around it. You know, the gear to have, all that kind of stuff. So let's crack on with it. And that video, before we move on, that video there obviously is Jeff Lakeford out on Saturday afternoon with his good lady and family. And as you can see with the video, cracking video, conditions were absolutely fantastic over the weekend out on the bay. If you had a chance to get out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I got out there on Friday with Jake and a few of the boys, Luke. And yeah, it was amazing. I've got video at the end, which I'm going to share with you as well, from my ride on Friday. So let's crack on and let's try, and we'll doing things a little bit differently. So I'll talk to you while I'm trying to set this all up. So basically this week, I've decided rather than streaming it on two channels, mainly YouTube and Facebook, I've tried to, I've tried to avoid that. Now, I've got one in. There's Carl. Carl, tell
Hey,
me.
mate.
Yep. Okay, can you hear me?
I do. I can hear you,
That's
mate.
fine. So we're hopefully just waiting on Michael coming in at some point. Let me change the screen and then find you. I probably can't find you now. Hey. Bollocks. And yeah, I tried this the other day and it worked perfectly fine. Bloody hell. Unreal. Never works when you want it to, when it ain't working. Damn. Let me go move this. Right, there's Michael. Michael, how are you, mate? Can you hear me?
Good. I'm good. I can hear you loud and clear.
Can, right. I've just got to try and get you guys up on screen first. It's been a while since I've done this because I've always used Zoom. I thought this would be easier simply because there's no time limit. And
Yep.
let me just come and see if it resets things. Probably not. Oh, my luck. Yeah, bugger. Right, let's try a new capture. Try a new window. Anyway, how's things with you anyway?
Yeah, good. Very good.
Very good.
Warming up.
I've got a feeling my system's going to crash here. Ah! I'm getting no response from my software. Bollocks. Hang on, let me see. Goes can. Okay, hang on. Oh, la 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 la. Bloody hell. My software is pear-shaped here, guys. I'm going to need to come out and then I'll come back in. Guys, bear with me. I'm going to need to come back
All
in.
good, mate.
I'll give you a call back in a second. All right, 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Oh, dear. Let me see. Let me try. Actually, you know what? Let's just go. I can't get any response and I'm going to have to close it down, so. Alright, leave that one. Oh, dear, oh dear. No. Bear with me, people. I hope you can see. You see this all right? All right. All right, now. Let's see where we're at. Is it joined on again? All right, now. Alright, so people can hear me okay. Let me just, I'm going to get the guys to just go through the traditional way, which was my Zoom call. So give me a second, guys. I know this works, so I'm going to go this way. This is the way I wanted, this is the way I should have done it at the start, but I thought we'll go this way and it might work easier. Right, let's do it this way. I'm not going to muck around with the Facebook Messenger aspect of it, so let's just get right into that, and I'll start the call, and hopefully the boys can jump into my call, my Zoom call. So let's start it up, fire it up, and let's find it. Zoom interviews, let's see. Right, I've got a screen. Half the battle. All I need now is the boys. No, don't do that. All I need now is the boys to tune in. And sorry for the change, guys. Hopefully you can jump in that way. Hold on. I've got Carl there. He's waiting. Oh, oh boy. Right, that's me. Carl, you there, mate? You good? Oh, connecting audio. Right. I can hear you breathing.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Second time lucky. I hope Michael's okay. I just hope Michael's all right, and I haven't put him out a bit. So he's the only one I'm waiting on. Now, for some reason, my camera never works on Zoom while I'm using it on the podcast for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't happen, but I'm doing something clearly wrong, and I've just got to try and figure out what the hell that is, so I can get in. So just wait on Michael. So listen, we had you on last week, mate.
Yep.
Listen, you missed a good ride on Friday, mate. Unfortunate. It was cracking day.
Yeah.
Cracking day.
Yeah, it looked like an awesome day on that day, on that ride.
It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Couldn't have asked for it. Moreton Bay was certainly turning it on. And obviously that's what we're going to try and talk about today or tonight with you and Michael. So unfortunately, in case people are wondering, Jake was unable to come on. Unfortunately, something's came up, and last minute call off. He unfortunately couldn't make it. So we'll maybe get some input from him, and if he gets a chance, maybe chat in the chat room. So hopefully we can get some good discussion going tonight, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so
sounds good.
We could start with you, mate. Weather, bit of a bone of contention for a lot of people. A lot of people don't quite get it. I don't know why that is. It's hit and miss. Listen, I'm no expert in it myself. I will admit that I am not an expert.
Same. Yep.
Yeah, it really, for me, it comes down to a bit of guesswork. You know, don't get me wrong. You know, I've got it wrong a couple of times where I've been caught out and it's been a bit wild.
Yeah.
But admittedly, I haven't been too often. But now I've kind of got to a point where I've got a good idea of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's the same. And you know, like I've been caught out where the weather looks really good, or everything that I've read, the weather looks really good.
Yep.
And then the day's turned pretty rubbish.
Yep.
Or I've been caught out in it. I'm again the same, no expert. I can only go off the apps that I use and the experience and make the call on the day. So
that's exactly it. And I'm just checking in with Michael. Yeah, that's exactly it. And oh Jesus, see, that message comes up. That message board there comes up because that's an easy one to find. But let's get rid of it. Oh, wait a minute, there he is. There he is now. So, right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yay! Sorry about the change, mate. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh boy. How are you, Michael?
I'm fantastic.
I could not have a discussion about the weather without having the godfather of weather on from Moreton Bay.
The godfather of the Bay.
Exactly, godfather of the Bay. Well said, Carl. So, listen, you seem to nail it. We were just talking earlier on here, Michael. I don't know if you caught wind of it. That sometimes it's a bit hit and miss with, like, we've learned over the years that sometimes you don't always get it right.
No, that's correct. But it's trial and error as well.
Yep. And that's where we're coming to, because we were talking about that as well. It's like, you know, you all that trial and all the errors, you do then start to get a feel for what's acceptable and what's not, and i.e. what you're willing to put up with.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
What's your trick then? How have you managed to master most of it? Because I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad one.
There's been very very few times I've been caught out in bad weather where I got it wrong. In the last 7 years, my background though is probably the reason why I've got a bit of a good understanding of how the weather works, and that is I did kite surfing the last 20 years around Moreton Bay and off the Redcliffe Peninsula. So being a wind sport, you've really got to understand the wind and have a good understanding of local weather patterns. So I have a joke that I say to people, look, even if you're not a kite surfer, join the local kite surfing forums. And if you see the kite surfers are all very depressed and down and not happy about the weather, you know that's going to be a good day to go jet skiing.
That's a good call. I like it.
Yeah.
So that's your secret then. It's got nothing to do with the weather apps.
It certainly helps. It certainly helps. But what I've learned over the last few years is that you got to be prepared for all kinds of conditions when you're traveling such a long way. You know, if you're going from Combsley to Tangalooma, the weather pattern can change over a big distance. Same as Paradise Point to Tangalooma. It can be very nice at one end and awful at another. So be prepared for all types of conditions with the right kind of gear.
Yeah. So for you, and like I've seen you, Michael, in particular. Carl, I know you've done it a few times. I've seen you with a jacket, the big jacket on and stuff like that. Michael, I've seen you dressed up to the hilt. You're looking like you're in the winter warmers on by the looks of it, head to toe.
Yeah, I have discovered, and it works for me, is wearing quality sailing gear. So offshore sailing gear. It's not necessarily more expensive than buying, the Jet Pilot tour coat. I like to stay dry, and I don't like the wind chill. So I find that throwing one of those over the top of my life jacket is going to keep me 100% dry. And then when I get off at Tangalooma or at the other end, quite often I'm going early in the morning, so the sun may not be out yet. And so, I may change into another set of clothes, because I do find that not wearing the appropriate clothing can make or break an experience at Tangalooma. You might have beautiful sunny weather, but a bit of wind chills. So there's no point wearing a Jet Pilot tour coat wet and damp all day. It's going to dampen your day. So take it off and put on something dry, and then wear that under your tour coat when you go home, because it's very hard to get your core temperature back up when you're not wearing dry clothes.
I totally agree. We rode with it on last week on Sunday. We had a very similar situation. One of our riders, she was riding, and we were getting slammed a little bit on the way back because we had issues with some skis and we were in some pretty nasty weather. But she was cold all the way back, just because having wet clothes on just really zapped her body temperature. So she really struggled. So having that dry clothes and that bit of gear would actually help with that. So
it's planning ahead. Like I'll often bring coffee with me, when I get to the beach, or even a hot soup for breakfast. And that, I tell you what, a hot soup that's ready to go, when people smell it, they're like, oh, yeah.
Mate, I'm running with you from now on. Bloody hell, get a hot soup in the morning.
But that might be all it takes, just to get something warm in your hand to make the experience nice.
Yeah. Okay. So from a like, obviously there's a safety aspect to it, and we've always, like, as this community and those that are kind of the prominent figures within the community, we're always advocating safety in numbers. Now, Michael, you're pretty well experienced out in the waters. I know you've been out a few times on your own, and I think most people that have been around for a while are confident enough to go on their own. But we've got a lot of new riders. There's like Queensland's jam-packed with new riders. A bit of advice. What kind of advice would you give to any new riders, guys?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
Go for it, mate.
I would say to new riders, that they shouldn't be disheartened and just base their first experience and make that a standard for in their memory for what it's like going in the future, because the more hours that you ride and the more experience you get, you earn more stripes and you get more confident. And not just for you, if you've got a pillion that you ride with all the time,
yep,
they're going to get more experience riding in different conditions. And you and I all know, being more experienced, that you can tell someone that's new or a pillion that's new because they're riding stiff and quite awkwardly, not comfortably. So give it time. You got to ride through a season, and if you are doing it, ride with experienced people and pick their brains. A lot of us are all very passionate, so we're only going to be happy to give you advice and make the extra investment to buy quality gear to suit those different conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go on, Carl.
Yeah, same sort of thing. Don't take it to heart if you can't ride in those rough conditions, like in your first ride and that sort of stuff. It comes with time, getting experience and all that sort of stuff. You've just got to give it time. When we all first started riding, the rough chop, we all went, oh no, and we backed up or something like that. And the more you ride, the more experience you get, and the better you feel and the more comfortable you feel. Agree with all the gear. I've had a lot of times where we're riding with people and they've kind of had to scrimp and save to buy some of the better gear, but it's worth it. And they actually said they're glad that they bought that stuff and didn't buy the cheaper stuff, because it helped them out and made them feel more comfortable. And definitely go with a group, like go with friends, pick the brains off experienced riders. As Michael said, we're happy to share the knowledge. For me, when I started, I was asking 100 million questions to the guys I was learning from. I felt like I was annoying them, but no one ever said to me, mate, you seriously have any questions you want to ask me? They were always happy to help. And that's the way I'm with new guys as well. So always happy to help the new riders. Yeah.
I guess the best way, I must have been, I was lucky when I did my first trip over to Tangalooma. I actually went in from Bribie. And it was purely because I'd arranged my first ride over to Tangalooma with my wife on the back, over there. First ride, we were meant to be heading over with the original owners of Jetski Australia. Now, obviously, it's changed hands now, but the original people that were involved with that had organised it, and I had agreed to meet them, but I got caught up in traffic on the way up there. So, anyway, cut the story short. They all left, departed. I took off a good bit behind. They must have already been over there. I didn't no idea who I was looking for. I rode over there. It was like glass the whole way over. Now, I'm thinking to myself, this is easy. I could do this every day. But I think from a newbie's point of view, it's probably better if they have a worse experience to start off.
100% agree.
Just to get the feel for how bad it can be, because it can only be better after that.
That's right.
100% agree. Yep.
Yeah. So
totally agree.
It's not every day it's going to be like glass.
I try to take my newbies out on a rougher day.
Do you? Right, okay.
There's been days where, it's absolute glass in the morning and then absolute rough on the way back, or rough on the way across. They go, oh my God. And you're like, it's okay. It will get better. Like the wind's changing or the weather's getting better. Just stick with it, I promise you.
Yeah.
So.
I specifically recall a ride with Michael. It was the Sandy Hills, further down from the wrecks. And I remember we had Jamie Eadie and a few other people there. And it was a big climb up the sands. And I remember it being beautiful in the morning riding over. Jeff was there as well, a few others. And I specifically remember Michael turning around about 1 o'clock and saying, I'm going to start heading back. And we were all kind of looking and thinking, why? And he says, because it's meant to be picking up heading into 2 o'clock. And we all stayed back and went, I'll be fine. And I tried to go back later on, and my God, it was choppy as. I wish I'd followed him. I wish I'd followed Michael back. He was long gone. He's probably tucked up at home with his cup of cocoa. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
soup.
a cup of coffee and
Probably
having
soup.
yeah, warm it up.
Well, I like a good ride because I've probably got some other things stashed in the ski somewhere, so I can't let
Listen,
that
Michael,
crumble
whatever
apart.
you like in your private time, that's entirely up to you, mate.
Look, I remember that day, and I never pressure other people to, come back because I want to come back. People have got to experience, and so you did the trip, and guess what? You remembered it, so it was an experience to laugh
And you know what I
about
remember about it?
reflect on.
It wasn't the bumpiness of coming back. It was actually you actually saying, I'm heading back at this time. So you were watching the clock because you knew things were going to change, whereas a lot of people wouldn't be doing that. A lot of people wouldn't do that. They would just go, I'll head back later on, and then just take it as it comes.
Look, on that note, what I thought I'd mention tonight, because there is a lot of people there that do ask me questions like, what are the telltale signs to watch out for? There are some things that are like these golden rules that I follow, and that is in wintertime, it's very different to summertime. Going across to Tangalooma or Moreton Island early in the morning is not a good idea. It's better to go later in the day. So from after 9 a.m. in the morning is a lot better. From 10 a.m., many skiers would agree that when they've gone in winter, when it gets to that warmer time of the day, it tends to glass out.
Yep.
So you get these beautiful glassy days. But going early in the morning when the sun is rising, there's the most significant temperature change. And that's what affects the wind and promotes the winds or slow it down. So in winter, you get these bitter cold southwesterlies, and it might be very nice where you depart from on the mainland. But when you get to Moreton Island, that's the part of the island or the fetch across the bay building. So it gets quite rough at the other end. So I tell people wintertime, when it's cold, leave later in the day.
Yep.
When it's summertime, that's when you go early in the morning.
Now, excuse me a second, I'm playing about with this at the moment. I have actually got the, let's see, 2 seconds. I've actually got Willy Weather here on screen. So let me just size this, and then I'll reposition it as best I can. Doesn't want to do it. It won't go small enough. Bugger. Right. Are you guys all right with me putting this over the top of your faces? Right. I'll put it up here, and then that
problem.
That way it covers me.
No worries, mate.
All right. Like, there's now that's a bit all over the place there. I'll change it up a wee bit. So, this is this is actually the website. Like I did have it connected to my phone earlier up. I could have tried to play it up on the phone through my phone. The app itself on your phone is a much easier thing to use than this. But like taking these elements out, there's the rain in the green and the wind directions and speeds in the red. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
I actually can't see it.
You can't see it. Right, okay. So at the moment, I'm looking at the winds, like say, take Saturday, for example. Now, Michael, if there's anything you don't understand with this, as I try and just explain it.
I'm going to look into the app too with you.
Right, okay, all right. So Saturday the 28th, and if you look at, actually, there's Friday the 27th, all right? 12 o'clock, midday. Wind temperature is, what's that, southerly? Yeah.
Yeah, southeast.
That's
or
a south.
southerly,
Yeah, south. Yeah, that's a southerly, and it's approximately, what speed do we have? 39 kilometers an hour. Now you know that's going to be a bad one.
Yes.
Yep. So let's go down to, let's say, earlier on a Friday. Now this would be a good example of a ride day. This is Friday, 6 a.m. It's bang on 20 kilometers an hour, moderate. It's a southerly wind. Would you go out in that window there, for example?
No.
Ask your head. No, yeah, and exactly. I'm the same. What
Understand.
would be the ideal scenario for anybody that wants to go out in that type of window, say 6 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. in the afternoon, for example. That Friday would probably be an extreme example of a bad day. What would you guys suggest?
I would say the weekend so far is looking a little bit bleak for riding in Moreton Bay in the open waters.
Yep.
But certainly with these wind conditions, I haven't checked the tides yet, but I would say an early morning ride with the right tide going at the Pumice-Stone Passage would be quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the same going through Paradise Point to Coochie or something like that. If the tides are right, you'd still be okay.
Yep. Okay. So an inside the islands would be better.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're a lot more protected through there from all of those winds, those southerly winds.
Or some kind of river ride.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Or
definitely.
The dams. Yeah.
All right. So that's an extreme example of it. Now, it's a pity I couldn't flash back to last weekend, because you would have got a cracking indication of what the weathers were like last weekend. Friday, Saturday, if I remember correctly, it started around about 10 kilometres an hour from about 6 a.m. on a daily basis. It was usually about 6, it was 10 kilometres an hour or less, and then it peaked at about 21, 22. And they were, if I remember correctly, they were westerly winds, if I remember correctly, or southwesterly. I think they were. No, northwesterly. They were northwesterly, they were. Sorry. Now, as proven, those particular conditions were on point. What with those particular wind speeds, is there a particular direction that anybody should be looking out for, Michael?
Yes, so it's a very, very good question. So in the winter months, okay, this is something very true with Moreton Bay. There are people that will look at a graph like Willie's Weather or Seabreeze, and they'll go, "Oh, it's going to be a calm day because the forecast is going to be starting, quite light southwesterly, and then it will switch to a southeasterly, and it's only expected to get up to 20 kilometers an hour or 10 knots." Okay, that's something to watch out. That's a trap. Southwesterly to southeasterly winds in Moreton Bay can get a lot stronger, and in many parts of the bay, when it's a northerly wind where you've got the wind against the tide, a southerly wind and an incoming tide, the waves get quite tall there, particularly in places like the mouth of the Brisbane River, Port of Brisbane, between Cleveland and Peel, I can imagine.
Yep.
And then in summer, there's another big trap, which will catch a lot of people out. And this is what kite surfers dream of. What a kite surfer is going to look for in summer is a big temperature change where it's more than 10 degrees of variation in the day, and a morning where it starts off northwesterly and it swings to a northeasterly, because wind is always swinging. And that's what they're praying for. And this is the big one that will catch people out this spring and summer, especially for the newbies. They'll look at the Seabreeze forecast, or they'll look at Willie's Weather, and they'll look at the early morning being quite light coming from the northwest, and a forecast that says, it's probably going to get to about 12 knots or up to, say, 40 kilometers an hour in the afternoon. Yep. Which is a good ride day. But what ends up happening that day is they go, "Oh, Seabreeze and Willie's Weather got it wrong," because it ends up being a lot stronger. Add another 5 to 7, even 10 knots on that. It will be stronger every single time in the warmer times of year when it's northwest to northeast.
Yep.
That's something to keep an eye on for a Moreton Bay.
Yep.
However, they'll read Willie's Weather and Seabreeze in the warmer times of the year where it might say that it's going to be a southerly. It might start southwesterly or southerly or southeasterly, and then the wind's going to pick up fairly strong in the afternoon going northeasterly. Okay? Now, people will then stay home and go, well, I'm not going to go out that day. Okay. But another thing to take note of is that a southerly in summer that swings to a northeasterly, although it is forecasted on these apps, about 95% of the time, it's wrong. It doesn't happen. That northeasterly doesn't kick in. It's very rare for a southeasterly to swing northeasterly and pick up with strong winds.
Right.
It's only a northwesterly to northeasterly will that wind accelerate.
Right, okay. I hope people can remember that one.
It sounds complex. It
Yep.
sounds complex, but it might be something that's probably need to be drawn on a graph. Okay. Because wind always swings. That's something to always remember whenever you're on the water. Wind doesn't always go in one direction all day. As the temperature changes and as the day goes by, wind might swing by about 45 degrees in direction.
Okay. All right. So that's out on the bay. Carl, what would you add anything to that as far as potentially out on the waters and the ocean side of Stradey? Anything you can add to that?
Not really. I mean,
the principles would be the same, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same around there. You know, anything with those strong winds, you want to avoid it as much as possible if you're fairly new. If you want to get your experience up and all that sort of stuff, get up there and have a go at it, but ride with someone that can help you out in problems.
Yeah, I've got one one of the comments here is from Chris. Chop Chop, you guys have probably heard the name. He says, "Nah, just get out there, Bruce. Extra training." I guess you do learn from experience, and we all have. But what we're trying to avoid is putting people, like, we're trying to encourage people to ride on a regular basis and join group rides, and feel confident enough in people to get out on their own skis and join up with other people without feeling intimidated because they're amongst the experienced riders. They don't want to be out of their depth. There is nothing worse than feeling out of your depth when you're amongst a bunch of experienced riders. So we're trying to be welcoming, and if it means, never ever be afraid as a newbie or a lesser experienced rider of going out with the group and then just saying, "Nah, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable with this," and head back. You will not. I wouldn't judge you, and I know Michael and a lot of the other riders would never 100%. Judge you. We, as experienced riders, if we're going to lead a ride group, we would rather you took that kind of ownership, rather than us potentially having to pull you out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Or there's environments where it might not be that the riders not wanting to go out, but they just might not be able to keep up with speed. Yeah. So I try to encourage anyone that's leading a group to just make an allowance and go, okay, tell this beginner, don't ride to your skill level. And if you see us heading away from you, don't try to pick up your speed or try to keep up with us. What we'll do is we'll have a bit of a rest break and we'll give time to catch up to us.
Yeah, 100%. We don't leave anybody behind. Yeah. We'll slow the group down, chill for a bit until they come up.
I tend to look over my shoulder on a regular basis just to make sure everybody's kind of within the vicinity and they're not falling back too far. And it's simply for that same reason. Like, I know what I was like when I was a rookie, trying to find my way and trying to learn to ride to conditions. It's not always going to be glass. The bumps do catch it out, especially when they're coming on all directions. And the last thing I would hate to see is someone being put off and questioning, why did I buy a jet ski when I can't even ride it properly? That's not what we want. As a community, we don't want that. We want people to feel confident on their skis. So we've got to nurture that.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you don't have to fly across, the chop. Like, I know a lot of people say, if you go at 60 or 70k an hour, you skip across the top. If you haven't got that experience, well, that's too rough. And Michael said this probably before a couple of times in different groups, like, ride the waves, just slow down and just follow the contours of the waves and just let the ski do the work for you. Yeah, exactly. You have a bit of jumping session or something like that. Exactly. You can roll with the waves. Exactly. It's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fly to get to where you need to as fast as you can. You can just turn it right down and just chill and just ride and just have a cruisy day.
Definitely.
So sometimes slower is actually okay to do.
Yeah.
Particularly for owners with speakers, and they've got their favorite playlist. There is a point I've noticed where you can sort of zen out in your mind, and the next minute you're not thinking about the waves. You're actually enjoying finding a rhythm with the swell and listening to your favorite playlist, and before you know it, you're home.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it I'm never a speed rider. I've never enjoyed the idea of just bashing across the water, because I like to take it in. I like to take the environment in. So I'll slow down.
Yeah.
To a more leisurely pace. And when it's smooth like glass, you just set the cruise control, sit back, and you just enjoy the whole moment. That's what I was doing on Friday, and I know Mel that was with me, she was doing exactly the same. So I prefer to enjoy the environment more rather than just watching the world whizzing past.
Exactly. There's some of my best rides have been a pretty cruisy, just chill ride, watching watching the world go by, not flying 100 kilometers an hour all the way around. So.
Exactly. Greg Stacey said Carl's always looking over his shoulder, mostly make sure that where Braden is, nobody wants that guy sneaking up. There's more to it. Nobody wants that guy sneaking around behind them.
Yeah.
Braden.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
You got a bad name for yourself there, Braden.
It's better since he's got rid of the mullet.
Right, listen, he's on the new thing with these T-shirts, the Mad Invite T-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear, he'll be dishing them out. All right, so we've got about 8 minutes left. What else do we need to add? Typical gear. What kind of safety items would you suggest? Like obviously the usual, the V sheet, the flares, life jacket. What other personal touches would you give it, Michael?
Look,
I know you've got your cabana and all that kind of stuff as well. So
actually, I would say, for people that don't necessarily ride in rough open waters, this didn't happen to me. It was years and years ago. Someone gave me some advice. They said, always pack insect repellent.
Oh,
so if you're marooned somewhere or beached or stuck on a mud flat, you're not eaten alive.
True. That's true. I never thought of that.
That would be nasty, I reckon.
Yeah, I never thought of that one. Yeah, good point. Insect repellent. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Carl, anything?
To me, like, if any time I'm going out, even in the bay or something like that, even with a group of people, a little PLB to stick on your life jacket, personal locating beacon. You just never know. You're in open water, even though it's not technically open water like the ocean.
Yeah.
You just never know what can happen in there. My father-in-law was a paramedic over on Morton Island, and there was multiple times that he had to, help VMR and Coast Guard and all that sort of stuff, search from people.
We've had cases in the past, even up until earlier this year, where people have perished actually on the bay. When weather conditions have just suddenly turned gnarly.
100%.
Not jet skiers, I might add, but if it can happen to boats, then it can definitely happen to 100%. Jet skis. Yeah.
100%. And people go, "Oh, I've got an EPIRB in my ski" or something like that. There's a possibility that something happens on your ski. If you fall off your jet ski and you can't get back to it, there's nothing you can do to get back to your ski to turn that EPIRB on. But if you've got a PLB sitting on your life jacket and it's hooked on, ready to go, flick the aerial up, hit the button, and you're going to someone's going to come and get you.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing I'd do is make sure you've got enough food and water. I know
Greg's just
Greg,
posted that. Yeah, he's just commented on the water. Always pack too much.
Yeah, water's the biggest thing. You can't, on the water, that salt water takes it out of you, mate. Like if you're getting hit with water and waves and that sort of stuff, your face is getting covered with salt water. You ingest in your mouth fresh water just to flush that out and just get your hydrate back up.
Definitely.
Probably the best thing and the most life-saving thing you can have, to be honest with you.
Yep.
So
definitely.
Absolutely, I agree.
Now, the only thing we haven't touched on was riding out through the bars. Is that something? I know you do it, Carl. Michael, I'm not so sure you do much of it, though. No.
I just avoid it.
Yeah. Listen, when I first did it, I never really gave it a thought. It was very much this is a bit wilder than I thought it would be. But the winds were, and the tidal surge was coming in as well. So, and it was through the spit as well. So, but the spit or the opening between Morton and, Jumping Pin or Morton and North Straddy, it can be very similar, especially if the surge is coming in the way or the tide's coming in. It can get quite big. And if the winds are in the same direction, it makes it even bigger. So, it can be a bit of especially if you're heading into all that. It can be really, really gnarly. I've only ever turned back twice when I've just thought, nah, it ain't worth it. I ain't risking it. It's just been a bit too wild.
I've done quite a few bar crossings myself. And, a lot of people say trim down, trim up, all that sort of stuff. You've got to ride to your ski's capability and your own capabilities. You learn to find what suits you and how you ride to get over the waves and that sort of stuff. The first time I did a bar crossing, I was riding with Alan Skinner, and I had my old Sea-Doo GTX that had no trim or anything like this, and I was freaking out. And then he rode beside me, and he said, "Mate, never be afraid to turn back if you're not comfortable."
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. And I thought I was raving, and I got to this one wave, and I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell am I doing?" And I looked to my left, and Alan had already bailed. He's like, "No, I'm out," and left me to it. I was like, "Shit."
Brett Pfeffer's actually said that. He's actually made the same comment. He says, "Don't mistake expectations with capabilities." I think is what he means. I'm not sure. He says, "Don't be shy to say no."
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Exactly. So
100%. If it's something that you're not confident in doing, or don't, you can't feel that you can't do it that day, even if you're in a group, go, guys, I'm not keen for this.
Yeah.
Like don't ever put anybody out. When I'm leading a ride, if someone says, if I'm going to go out to the bay and it's quite bumpy, and someone comes to me and goes, "Hey, I'm really not comfortable with this," if it's early enough and we can get them back, or if they're halfway through, we'll change the plans, or we'll adapt to every rider, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to have a good day.
Yeah, exactly. All right, gentlemen. I think we've kind of, we could talk about this more and more and more if we could make it like we could definitely probably look at this again to expand it and make it a bit more interactive if you guys are up for it.
100%.
Let me explore how we can best implement all that. It might mean having to just use Zoom and then just share screens through Zoom. So we'll figure it out that way, okay? Guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your input and your wisdom. Thank you very much. Is there anything you want to say before you go, guys? Michael?
Thank you very much for having me on. And I think it was a great idea to sort of revisit this, because it is a complicated and it's a big subject.
Definitely. It's not just a look at the weather and let's go. There's a lot of variables to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, Carl. Anything?
Yeah, same. Like, I'm glad we were able to talk about this, and we could talk about this for hours and hours. There's so much involved with weather reading and all that sort of stuff, and what app to use. First thing is, download the apps, ride to conditions. Don't be afraid to also go into some of the rivers and get away from the wind. If it's going to be a windy day, you can still have an absolute awesome ride on the Brisbane River, or down south, or on the Yamba and all that sort of stuff. Like, head into the rivers, because there's they're not as clean water, and you're not going to see those crystal blue waters and all that sort of stuff.
It's just as nice a ride.
100%, and you're guaranteed to have some fun. You're guaranteed to see some cool houses and cool scenery, and have some fun and laughs and that sort of stuff, and still enjoy a day out on the water. So.
All right, okay, guys. Listen, appreciate your time. We'll see you out on the water, gentlemen.
Sounds good, mate. See you later.
Take it easy. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So there we go. That could have went on for a long time. Guys, I thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate what you brought to it. So thank you. I don't know what's happened to my screens. I think I've changed it all now. Yep, I have. Okay, so let's go round up now. I've got to change over my profile because my Jetski Republic profile doesn't allow me access to certain groups, and I need the certain group access for my roundup. So here we go. Let's where are we at? You don't need me. Which one's that? Sorry, I'm speaking out while I think. Right, there we go. So right, let's get the roundup up. There we go. All right, now our roundup. Now I just want a quick shout out to Noah Skips, our New Zealand rider, who's been racing over in Orlando. Kissimmee, Florida, the P1 Aqua X competition. He's in the amateur competition, the 300 series, and he come into this weekend in the lead, and unfortunately didn't have the best of weekends. And as a consequence, he finished 9th for this weekend's competition, 2nd overall, and I think he said 18 points ahead of 3rd place. I'm not sure where he is in relation to 1st place at the moment, but he still has an outstanding chance in the final round to take the series, all going well for him. So, Guy, Noah, well done anyway, mate, for hanging in there despite your mishaps. It's a commendable effort, and jet ski reliability, it would be a pain in the backside, I would imagine. So hang in there, and good luck for the next round, which I believe is in 2 months' time. It won't be until November, because the next series is actually professional only. So there's some of the footage, if you guys can see that. That's Noah in one of his races. Pretty outstanding looking stuff. So good luck to you in November, mate, and all the best. So that's that. Let's go New Zealand. New Zealand have moved to the. I've still got their competition 13th of October. It is only 2 weeks' time. They do have an announcement which is made. It mainly affects the riders in the area. There's some presence of some disease in the waterways, and they've got to take precautions. So the announcement is there. It's on the on their Facebook page in regards to what is required before you can put your vessel in the water. Guys, if anybody's thinking about racing at this one and flying over, drop a message to Dave Vennell, and I'm sure we touch base with him. I think Sean Cresswell or Richie Ryder had also, one of them had mentioned something about ski. I think it was the Skips family had also mentioned something about ski being available. Obviously, if you connect with them, they'll sort you out and you can make whatever arrangements to get yourself racing. But certainly something to think about if it's what you fancy. Then, of course, they do have their own summer series coming up later this year, starting in November. I don't want to scroll down for the dates. It'll be a good bit down, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But it's in November, so if you can't make this one, which is an enduro event, you could always think about the start of their summer series in November. So hook up with these guys, and they'll do what they can to help you. All right, so that's that. New South Wales. I've got a few things on the go at the moment. Now, obviously, they have announced a schedule of events. Provisionally, the first 3 rounds are kind of set in stone. I believe there is more planning and permission still to be granted in regards to what they have. So there you go. First round, 20th of October, Chipping Norton. Then the 17th, St George Motorboat Club. And that's a new venue, although I believe it's close to where they used to race a few years ago. Chipping Norton again on the 1st of December. Then round 4 and 5, 9th of February, 9th of March, Rafferty's Resort, which is up Lake Macquarie, and St George Motorboat Club again. Those last two are obviously pending council approval. If they don't get the approval for them, then those rounds will be at Chipping Norton. All right, so they're trying to stretch things out and get some decent, new alternative venues. I hope they manage to pull these off. So, good luck to you guys. So when I say they've got a few other things going on, they're doing rec rides, looking for interest for people with for planning rec rides as well. So another string to their bow, so to speak, and they're hoping to kick off some nice summer rides around October onwards over the summer months. So drop these guys a message if you've got something in mind or if you want to hook up. They're also looking for junior rec lights to race sparks, and again the details are there. And let's see, starting from 12 years old in New South Wales. Okay, so if your kid's dreaming of jet ski racing and you're living down New South Wales, or you want to get them into racing and you have a ski to do it, New South Wales, hook them up. And the next generation of riders. I don't know how they've gone. They had their closing date today, closing time at 5 p.m. today for new members for their committee. Hopefully they've managed to get enough nominations. The Zoom meeting will be next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We'll be obviously on Zoom, but you have to be a paid up member from before the 1st of September in order to vote. Okay, if you're not a member, you won't be able to vote. So hope that all goes well for you guys at New South Wales. And then obviously they've got their competition coming up. If you fancy racing, jump in there, hook up New South Wales Personal Watercraft Association, and they will take care of you as far as getting you on board and get you racing. All right, so that's New South Wales. Queensland has been very quiet, nothing much happening there. Jetski Jake, sorry, I'll change this. It's not now called Jetski Jake. It's the Jetski family. Various reasons, Jake just felt a bit ill at ease that it seemed to be his name on it, and he just felt it was a bit more inviting, a bit more community led, and it not just all about one person, and that's what he feels. So the name's been changed. So good luck with that as you're moving forward. A new logo, everything like that. What's been happening? I did go out with a ride with these guys on last Friday. Cracking day, as I said. I'm going to share that video with you at the end. Question there. Now this is on the Jet Ski Riders Gold Coast page as well. Just changed my registration on my new ski. Anyone here print rego stickers? Guys, if you're looking for registration stickers, hook up with Jet One Industries. Drop Marty James a message and tell him what you want. He'll fix it up. Okay, you got all the colours, combination colours, the whole works. He's even got the reflective stuff. There's some really and loads of different font styles as well. All right, so it's definitely hook up with him. Give him a buzz, and he'll take care of you. He'll even ship it to you. All right. So, and give you instructions on how to install it. All right, they're really easy to install. All right, that's that. That's Jetski Jake. Keep your eye on their page as well, because they have pop-up rides. Jetski Riders Gold Coast in Brisbane. I've seen a couple of rides, potentially rides popping up here as well. There's a good example there. I would not go in those conditions, but that's just me. Because I know what it's going to be like. It's going to be pretty gnarly over the weekend. As the cooler weather comes in, the winds are picking up as well. Yeah, I'd give that one a miss. I wouldn't be going out on that one. All right, so that's just me. A few skis for sale. Don't know how the boat got in there, but hell. yeah, there we are. One of the other things that wasn't mentioned is Coast Guard or the VMR membership is a worthwhile investment as well if you're out riding, especially if you plan on doing maybe some rides on your own. It's always handy to have a bit of a backup. Now, don't fret if you don't have it. You can still call them. They will come out and get you, provided you join on the day. And the only reason I know that is because it happened to me in a ride, and the Coast Guard came up and allowed me to join there and then got me back to the ramp. So it's not a big drama. All right, that's that one. Let's see what else we have. All right, so now there was one I had shared this one. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. Actually, you know what I'll do? Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here. Now, one of the things that I failed to mention tonight, and I'll just use this to finish it up. This year's Santa ride. All right, guys, if you're not aware of this, there are a couple. So this is the Brisbane one. Hopefully you can all see that. Kangaroo Point. All right, so a Kangaroo Point, and I think it's down through South Bank and stuff, and then just a short one, just a short ride down the river. Guys, 30th of November. It is restricted to 50 riders for this particular 60 jet skis for this particular day in Brisbane. If you go to the tickets and look to buy your ticket, the event details are all there. And also when you go to click on your ticket, if you want to do both the rides, which is the following weekend, again the details are there. You can see the week after, the Sunday after Brisbane, down the Gold Coast. It's $60 to do both of them. Otherwise you'd be $35 for each ride. Okay, now there's no obligation to dress your jet ski up. Put a red Santa, Grinch outfit, whatever you want put on. Entirely optional if you want to dress up your ski as well. It's a worthwhile event. It's a great adventure. And I've said this before, since they've removed that world record attempt part of this event, last year they did it for the first time and it was removed, and the ride was wonderful. Really, really nice. You could separate and you could ride at your own pace. You could be out to the side a little bit. You could tail back. You could fall back into the crowd. Entirely up to yourself. So it's a good event to get involved with because you're not restricted by how far apart you have to be and how wide from the person beside you, all that kind of stuff. So there wasn't as many restrictions. All we ask is that everybody rides responsibly and appropriately. Okay, so to next week, we're going to have Jane on next week to talk about this event and see, give it a little shout out as well, more of a shout out. Get your entries in. Like I said, Brisbane's restricted to 50 skis. The Gold Coast one, there is no restriction as far as I'm aware. Only restriction is 50 skis in Brisbane. Gold Coast, it could be 150, 200, whoever, however many, who knows. Okay, so worthwhile getting behind these. Your money goes towards buying presents for kids that are in care over the Christmas period. All right, so fantastic charity to get involved with. And that's pretty much me for this week. I'm going to leave you with my video that I took from last weekend on Friday when I was out with Luke, Jake, Mel, and a few of the other riders, Tennille. The ride over to Morton Island. We went via Peel Island. You probably won't see much of Peel because I didn't really start filming until I got more to Tangalooma or to Amity or North Stradbroke Island. So I'll leave you with this video, and until next week, same time, same place, we will talk about the Santa ride for this year and the pros and cons of it all. So guys, take care, look after yourselves, and if you're out on the water, you see me, come and give me a hi. I won't bite anybody's hand off, and I'm good that way. So please come over and say hi. Well, I'm always happy to meet new people. And Until next week, take care, look after each other, and have fun. Bye.